Hey guys, welcome to another 060, and this one is servicing an E90 BMW.
Yeah, Mark's 325i. It was a nasty quote from BMW, wasn't it, for this service?
It was. To give you the full background, you might recognise this car from the one that wouldn't do a burnout in the Boxing Day video, the Rev Battle. It is sort of overdue for service. He hasn't done, in fact, he's had this car for 10 years, he's never done coil packs.
Really?
10 years, never done coil packs. So yeah, and it's starting to get the occasional misfire on the highway. So it's having coil packs, spark plugs, oil change, and an oil filter. So a pretty basic service, but he got a quote for this at BMW, and it was like over $1,000. And I said, Mark, we'll do that, we'll save you some money. So that's what this video is going to be about.
But to make it a little bit more interesting, although not that saving a ton of money isn't interesting, this is a challenge for Andrew, because he's doing a lot of these BMW services now.
I'm pretty much professional.
So I'm going to crack the whip, I'm going to time him and see how quickly he can do that service and save that money.
Yeah, like I said in the Rocket Cup video, we're not mechanics. I don't really know what I'm doing, but let's see how fast we can get this knocked over.
Making him rush can only make good things.
All right, let's get into it. So this should be a pretty straightforward service. First thing I'm going to do is jack the car up and get the oil draining out. So that's going to be the majority of the time, I think, draining the oil. But once it's jacked up, get the sump plug removed. I've got to remove the cowl from up here, the engine cover, and that's going to give us access to the coils and the spark plugs. And of course these have the nice oil filter housing on the top. But while I'm doing that, Dave's going to run you through the parts. And can you start the timer?
I'm going to start the timer.
I've got most of the tools laid out, the ones I think I'm going to need.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the parts. Obviously, Castrol Edge Oil 5W30 for this beast. Just a MAN filter, which, I mean, yeah, you should be familiar with MAN. It is a big brand. The coils are just aftermarket coils, but I know Andrew's used these in other BMWs and they seem to work quite well. I'm not sure of the prices of them, so I'll get him to flash them up. And lastly, the 6 spark plugs needed. So that's all the parts. Car's already in the air, tipping. All right, let's see how he goes. All right, we're just past 2 minutes and car's off the ground. Sump plugs out. Sorry, sump plugs out, oil's draining, and just pulling the top cowl off.
Yeah, and nearly finished.
Nearly finished.
Pretty much. It's funny, as soon as you rush,
stuff starts going wrong.
We'll change the cabin filter while we're doing all this as well. We'll add another one, because I've got one here.
You've got a spare cabin filter?
I do, yeah.
Cool. Alright, we'll catch up with you in another few more minutes. Okay, it's just gone past the 5-minute mark. The top cowl's off, the engine cover's off. Coils are unplugged.
And some of the plugs are nice and seized. They just need some persuasion.
Said some of the plugs are seized a bit.
Yeah, the clips. Couldn't pull them off.
But they're coming off pretty quickly.
Cool. The coils.
Pop, pop, pop.
I always use a screwdriver as a lever on these. Some cars are bloody hard to release.
Bang, 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 bang.
That is the coils out.
Job done. Either the BMW mechanics aren't very quick, or they're like $700 an hour or something.
So the plugs are not seized, we haven't got any issues there, although I haven't taken them all out yet, just checked a couple. I don't have an oil filter tool, which is kind of funny for BMW. So we'll just use the old-fashioned one. All the way off.
Still got heaps of draining to do.
getting down into the engine.
Yeah.
All nice and hot. Plonk that there for now.
Looks super thin, this oil.
Yes. Actually, would you mind passing us that back?
10 minutes.
I can't believe how hot it's got. It's like 4,000 degrees.
Okay, we're about the 10-minute mark. That's the last plug coming out.
Oh, no.
Oh, second last. Really? 5. They're on fire. Oh, they actually are. But to be fair, they don't look atrocious.
I think he did those plugs about 3 years ago.
Okay, so they're about 3 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've definitely seen worse come out of an engine, but yeah, they could definitely do with a freshen up. And the coils, that's incredible that they are the factory supplied coils.
Yeah, this car's done 250,000 kilometers.
Yeah, it's gonna appreciate a bit of a birthday. A bit like you.
Bad enough of them.
Okay, 13 minutes in. And plugs are going in.
Yeah. Definitely going to torque them to the correct spec, which I'll list in the description below.
With your torque wrench there.
Yep, you can hear it clicking.
Coming up to the 20-minute mark. You're on your last plug.
Last plug's just getting torqued. Then oil, well, actually no, we'll do coils first, then the oil. And must remember to put the sump plug in before we fill it up.
Who would do that? Quick update, because the coils, you had it look like took a little bit of extra time trying to get the clip in perfectly.
Yeah, they are aftermarket coils, and just the clips didn't go in as nicely as the genuine ones, but it just needs more force. But they're in, should be okay. We'll find out in a few moments when we start it up. So sump plug's got to go back in. You can crush washer.
Are you gonna do the oil filter now?
Yep, onto the filter now.
It's not chocolate, Winston.
Giving the filter housing a good clean. We have a man made in Germany filter straight from eBay. I've used these a few times and they're quite good. I know a couple of people have had issues with the plastic ended filters, not these material ones, not sealing properly, but these seem to seal absolutely fine. That's all good. We'll go here into the housing. Oil. I think the oil's the most expensive part of this. More expensive than the coils. Please don't spill.
And just to make sure there's not a puddle on the floor.
Doesn't actually have a level. That's about half the bottle. Let that settle down. I'll tighten this one. you want to just check underneath quickly, there's no oil.
Looks good.
I'm just going to start it up, make sure all the coils and the spark plugs are fine.
Okay, moment of truth. Sounds healthy.
Yeah, I always want to check because I've had it before where I haven't reconnected the coils properly, but they're definitely all working fine. Let's get the rest of it put back together. So we're just going to swap out the cabin filter. Although Mark didn't buy one, I actually have one out of mine since I've gone to the BMS dual cowl.
Bit of a difference there.
Yes. So, a bit dicky, these aftermarket ones. I've got a force in them.
Just doesn't want anything seeping past.
So nice new cabin filter for him. That's fitted properly.
Engine cover. Alright, we're about at the 30-minute mark, but it is going back together. I'm going to go back to the time lapse and we'll catch up with you again for the finishing touches. In case you haven't seen it yet, our E92 manual M3 review has just gone live, so go and check that out. Yeah, it's coming up with 34 minutes. Car's nearly back together.
I'm about out of breath.
Cabin filter going on.
Last bolt. Actually, after this, we've just got to run it for a few minutes to let it do the oil level check. So it's just measured the oil and it says to add 1 litre, and I did put 5 litres knowing that it should take 6, but I always like to do that as a precaution. So let's get that last litre put in. So there we have it. Oil level is now set correctly. It's coming to the light because it has gotten a bit dark. Mind you, we did start at gone 6 o'clock. So what was the total time?
Just under 40 minutes.
It's not too bad.
I'm impressed.
I think it took a good chunk of time just to get the oil level set. Anyway guys, look, I'm going to put links to all these products down below. If you've got any questions about servicing your own car, hit us up in the comments or shoot us a message.
But that's pretty quick, pretty easy. And that was oil, filter, plugs, and coils.
And a cabin filter.
Yeah, and everything, that's everything. It's everything done. On the ground, on the garage, just with a garage jack. No hoist. Well done.
Alright. Thanks again. We'll catch you on the next one. So the one thing I forgot to do yesterday was actually reset the service light. So I'll just add this to get into the end of the video now. Okay, so we turn the ignition on. And you got to wait for all the chimes and everything to finish. You can see there that the vehicle service is due at 8,000 kilometers. Just turn the vent off. And oil's actually due 3,800k. So we actually did it early yesterday. And we'll just get rid of the bulb warning. And to reset the service light, you hold the trip reset button down until you get to that menu there. And then with the stalk, you can then choose which ones you want to reset. So we're resetting the vehicle check, and it should disappear from up there. Yep, there we go. And we'll go down to, that is rear pads from memory, front pads, brake fluid, and the oil. We're going to reset that one.
And when you reset, you just use the BC button to select that window there, and then you hold the BC when you're on the reset option, and when you see the clock, that means it's actually resetting. And we should be able to see the oil reset there. It's crazy how it says it's not due for 30,000 kilometers. And what else have we got? Oh, we'll do the exhaust inspection. Now there is nothing wrong with this exhaust, so I'm going to clear it now. This is a different option. And we've got to inspect the exhaust in 2 years' time. So that's gotten rid of all the service ones. And she's all good to go.